For this little video, I am going to demonstrate how you increase on both sides of the center stitch. I've just removed my stitch markers. There should be a stitch marker on each side, but it just makes it a little easier to see what is going on if I don't have to slip markers around. I increase, it's a two-step increase, so there's something happening on each row, but you only increase on every second row. I chose this method and not, let's say, make one right and make one left, because it makes it much easier to remember when to slip the center stitch, and it also, for me, just makes it more fun and easy that you do something on every row. You never forget to do something when it's every second row, and it's really easy to see where you are at when you do it this way. So when you are going to make a yarn over, the first yarn over before the center stitch is actually a yarn over that you do backwards. That means normally when you do a yarn over, you would go over the yarn and pick it up. But when you do it backwards, you're just doing it opposite. So I go under the yarn and have it coming from the back over. And this way the yarn leans to the right, and on the rows you do a yarn over, it's really easy to remember that you also knit the center stitch, because if you don't knit the center stitch, things will be very weird on the back. So just on a yarn over row, you also knit the center stitch, and then after the center you do a normal yarn over. And let me just knit one stitch and I will show you. You can see here, after the center stitch, the yarn over is leaning to the left, and before the center stitch it is leaning to the right. Just like if you do a make one left and make one right, but this way you have steps on each row. When you're on a round where you have to work the yarn over, it's really simple. So you knit into the front loop like so. So you have the leg on the front and you just knit like normally. And now you can see the stitch kind of makes this little loop, and the upper part of the loop, the upper leg, should lean to the right, away from the center stitch, so always away from the center stitch. And yeah, it should not have a big hole or anything. If you find that it gives you holes, you could just do the make one right on this side and make one left on the other side. This method of doing it on every second row makes it a little bit easier to pick up the stitch, as it is a yarn over and not going into the stitch below or the bar below between the two stitches. And also, as I said, it makes it easier to remember on what row you have to slip the center stitch. So on the row that I knit, I slip the center stitch, then you slip the next marker, and you get to the next yarn over, and then you knit through the back loop, which means you don't go through this one, you go through the back behind here and you knit. If you find it a little bit annoying with the two stitches, because really it's quite easy to see where the center is, you could just remove them. In the beginning it's nice to have all the markers because things are very small and a little bit fiddly, but once you have a little bit more of the shawl, you can just remove these markers if you can keep track without them. On some rows when you're purling, you will have to purl through the front loop and purl through the back loop your yarn overs, and I will show you how that is done. So before, when you knit through the front loop, you went into the front part of the yarn over. Now I'm going into, let me see if I can show you a little bit better. From the back you're going into the front, so, and then you just purl, and it gives you a little purl bump. And then again you slip your M2, slip the center stitch, slip your I'm slipping way too many things here, slip your M3. It's a little bit difficult to do when I'm with the camera in front of my face. Okay, and then you have the second yarn over, and again you want to purl that through the back loop, so you go through the back loop from the back and then you purl. There you go. So there are different ways of doing this. This way I find makes it a lot easier not to remember all the time to slip. And as you can see, if you look on the, sorry, let me get that out of the way. If you look on the increases, you shouldn't have any big holes. You will just have these little lines going away from the center stitch.